I think it looks good. You think this looks good?
Oh, that's a good look, man.
There you go. Here we are, the American Revolution Museum. GW. That's what I call them. Oh, you're wearing a red coat. Show everybody your red coat. This is my friend Kevin. Kevin's wearing a red coat. That means you're anti-American today, for I am a blue coat. Oh, yeah. I'm also not a child, so I can't wear it, but let's go. This is fun. So this is the biggest thing in this museum is upstairs. They have an exhibit where you can actually see the tent that George Washington stayed in when he was in Valley Forge.
Okay.
That's the big thing.
Okay.
Every museum has a big thing.
And how long was like the Battle of Valley Forge?
Well, there was no Battle of Valley Forge.
Okay.
They just kind of camped there for a winter. Like today, very, very cold. Very, very cold. This is in the room where they show Washington's tent, but you're not allowed to film the tent part. I'll have pictures pop up. But have you ever seen this exhibit?
I've not seen this part of the exhibit.
This makes me cry every time I watch it. So we'll see. Will it make me cry?
100%.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
Did you tear up?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I must have been really emotional today.
Yeah.
I came here the first time. Worth the price of admission.
Oh yeah,
Very
cool.
cool.
Very
cool.
The effects with the other projection behind it going through the ceiling.
That's very cool. I highly, just out of all the museums of Philadelphia, I say Franklin, all right, go to the Franklin Institute.
Oh, absolutely.
And then go here. And then that's it. Maybe the art museum.
I always say the Mother.
I don't like going around dead things. Speaking of dead things, there's a bunch of bones.
The Rodin is also really cool.
The Rodin is free. It's pay what you wish. And sometimes you can wish to pay nothing.
Yep.
And you like that Mother Museum, huh?
Always, yeah. It's just a Philadelphia classic.
So far we watched 2 movies, and we're going to watch the exhibit. And this exhibit talks about the American Revolution and all that stuff. A lot of movies. How did the people become revolutionaries? I don't know. How did they survive the darkest hours? I don't know. That's a great question. How revolutionary was the Revolutionary War? All these questions will be answered and more in this museum. They have this painting of King George III, and you could touch his fancy robe. How exciting. What an exciting. Let's touch the codpiece. Always. Unnecessary bulge. You want to touch the royal codpiece? There you go. There you go. Well, you're wearing the red coat. You worship him, don't you? I guess. Anything good over here? What do they got? So this is the coat of arms that used to hang inside Christ Church. This is the royal coat of arms. And this is where all the founding fathers went to church. And this is the royal coat. And they ripped this down in the church. I always hear stories about this getting destroyed. And this is a fragment of that coat of arms. That is so cool. That is the coolest. That's like the original grease pole in Philadelphia. Philadelphia gets unruly. When we start winning championships, we have to grease the poles. And there we go. Oh, I love that. This is one of the chairs that the First Continental Congress sat in for at Carpenter's Hall, which is directly across the street. And if you go to Carpenter's Hall, which is free, you can see a chair for free. To pay to come in. And then this giant tree talks about the Liberty Tree. And they have this big replica of what the tree looked like. And this is actually a piece of a Liberty Tree, which is like a tree that they would hide special messages in. Like, go this way. But you can come here and touch a piece of the tree. The rest of the tree's fake. You like colonial ceramics? This is your museum, because every room has old-timey ceramics from the past. What an exciting time to be alive. Oh, this is part of the bridge. You see the Old North Bridge. And if you ever heard of the first battle of the Revolutionary War, it was at the Battle of Concord. So The Battle of Concord happened here. The first shots of the Revolutionary War. The shots heard around the world. And this is actually part of that bridge where those shots went over. This is very cool. This is George Washington's sword from the American Revolutionary War. How you doing, GW?
This was made in Fishtown, Port Richmond.
What, the sword was made at Port Richmond?
Yeah, so it was purchased from a Philadelphia craftsman. I'll show you where in the neighborhood it is.
Oh wow, that's cool. So George Washington bought a sword from Port Richmond, and he had a gun too.
That was like one of the largest sterling silver plants was in Philadelphia. They made like all sorts of commemorative swords and stuff like that for royalty.
Okay.
They made a shot glass, which was like a thimble, which was like the most famous thing they ever did.
A replica of an inkstand of what Thomas Jefferson used to write the Declaration of Independence. You can actually see the original one on display at Independence Hall. It's in the building next to the actual Independence Hall. And you got right here. This is if you saw that movie in the beginning. They have that statue getting torn down. And when you leave this room, you know all the facts about the Revolutionary War. And when you leave, they say, will you help them tear down the statue, or would you be a loyalist? We all know Kevin would be a loyalist because of his jacket. I would probably pull down the rope. I don't know. I would probably be indifferent. I like being indifferent. Oh, here's a part of the statue that they tore down. The statue right there. How about that? That's the replica, obviously, because it's broken. That's the original. Was the story about the redcoats, and how they occupied Independence Hall. And you know what those jerks did? They burnt a lot of our historical items up in fireplaces. The majority of the chairs we have in Independence Hall now are replicas because they couldn't chop down trees. They didn't know how to do that, I guess, so they had to use all the furniture in the Philadelphia area to keep warm. And Independence Hall was actually a prison and a hospital at the same time. Look at that, like, we're not going to have anywhere to sit if they chop up all the chairs. It's my British impression. It's pretty good, right? All right, we're going to go back in here where we started, where it talks.
Out of here. You got to be here in the next 10 days to see it.
What, this? Oh, this is the final days of this exhibit. Yeah, you can't videotape Washington's tent, but this kind of gives you an idea on how big Washington's tent was. And these are actual items. This is George Washington's camp stool and Washington's silverware. There was a general who would go around and he would break spoons?
He would break spoons and bend forks and stuff on the way out and cut them so they would no longer be able to use utensils.
And then everybody would die of like
They would have to
disease.
use their hands to eat.
Yeah. Ugh. This is one of George Washington's duffel bags. How exciting. Me and Kevin were wondering, did George Washington ever carry his own duffel bags? I say no. That's his real duffel bag, right? That's where he kept all his basketball equipment. His sneakers, his shorts, deodorant. Are these parts of the tent? These are fragments of Washington's tent. Which, wow. And pretty much they were saying Washington would use his tent. He would maybe live in a house, but he would use his tent like an office. You know who else did that? Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger had a tent at Sacramento where he would smoke cigars and talk politics.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, it was in the documentary.
Yeah.
So Arnold and George Washington, thinking alike. Great men, great Americans, I dare say. What's her name? Let's see. This lady here, she winds up being like George Washington's granddaughter-in-law, and she winds up marrying Robert E. Lee. So the tent actually becomes property of Robert E. Lee, During the Civil War, American soldiers storm Robert E. Lee's house. They steal all the stuff and like destroy his house. They stole his doorknob. And one of the other things they stole were all the Washington's artifacts. And then the United States started displaying Washington's tent, saying it belonged to the American people. Robert E. Lee's widow spent the rest of her days trying to collect those properties which were in her family. This is one of her trunks. What do you think? George Washington's alive. It's the Civil War. What side's he on? Yeah, that's what I say too. This is a picture of Washington's tent on display at Valley Forge, outside in the elements. Look at the water damage on it.
And that's 1911, so it'd be 113 years ago this photo was taken.
Wow. And you go upstairs, it's pretty cool how they have the exhibit. You'll see this all over. This is a Ben Franklin political cartoon. You'll see that all over. You can buy a George Washington t-shirt and or coffee mug. You can also buy a doll of Betsy Ross holding the Betsy Ross flag. Right, and this is the best view of Independence Hall that you can get. Right there. Right there is the line for the Liberty Bell. It's kind of big, but not a bad. You ever been up here?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? I hate when you're hard to impress. You've done a lot of things.
Well, I get to go to a lot of places like this where it's like nobody gets to go.
Yeah. Well, nobody's up here. Nobody ever comes up here. But yeah, if it's not a
Have a cup of coffee out here?
yeah, well, you can just take one of these chairs, throw it in the middle of Market Street, have a good time.
Bedroom.
What'd you think of the museum?
Oh, the museum was great. I haven't been there in a few years.
Yeah, it's only $25. I think it's well worth it. You could buy a season pass for a year. I think it's $70. I don't know. You could do that once every few. And nothing really changes except the one exhibit at the bottom.
Well, if you're going once a year with a family of four, it's perfect.
Yeah. And then this is the Independence Hall Visitor Center. This is where you get tickets to Independence Hall. You watch some free movies about the history of Independence Hall. They got old-timey actor people who I avoid like the plague because I hate when they talk in character because it just makes me feel weird. And right here, this is the newest place where you can buy tickets to shows, the TKTS tickets. They have one of these in New York, and now they have one of these here at the Visitor Center. You can buy discount tickets to plays. You get the 50% off the tickets. Let's see what shows you can see.
I think Elf is in town.
Peter Pan for 30, Kiss Me Kate, 32. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a radio show, Christmas Eve. I feel like they should have that screen on a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think so.
There he is, my good friend, the Philly Fanatic. This is where you get the tickets to Independence Hall, but it looks like it's sold out for the day. What's going on, cuz? I miss you so much. I wish I could hug you right now. Well, I guess I can. I hate the winter. I hate the winter so much.